Are you interested in moving overseas? Is Europe your preferred destination? But somehow you've been pulling your hair out wondering which country should I relocate to? Yes, I know I want to relocate from the Philippines. I want to relocate from Africa, maybe Egypt, maybe Morocco, maybe Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe, whatever country, but you don't know the particular country that you want to relocate to. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to move to Malta on a work visa. I'm going to show you why Malta is the best destination for you to relocate to as a professional from any country around the world. So if you're interested in learning how to relocate, how to move to Malta on a work visa as a professional, then why don't you give me just 1 second? I'm gonna dash up to the market and you guys already know what comes next. I'm gonna be right back with more.
You know the way I do it when I drop lyrical. Anytime I spit lyrical, philosophical. All the niggas mimical, but this fair still on taking literal. Punchlines collateral. Maximum damage.
Hello, Chronicles. Hello, YouTube. How you all doing today? It's still your value-based king, Fuse, from FuseChronicles.com, and I really apologize. It's been a minute since I dropped a video here on YouTube. You guys already know us, guys. We are your one-stop shop for everything and anything that has to do with travel, tourism, and lifestyle. So if you're interested in relocating to select countries all around the world, this is the place where we give you the lowdown, telling you all you need to know about work visa, places to stay, and documentation that you need to prepare for your journey. Now, like I said earlier, I really apologize. It's been a minute since I dropped a video here on YouTube, and for good reason as well. We are trying to get some partnerships going. So we're in the process of finalizing some partnership that is going to be very beneficial to you guys. Yes, I have you guys in mind. I've not been on vacation. I've not been locked away watching movies, playing PlayStation, whatever. No, that's not what I've been doing. I've been trying to finalize some partnerships with different companies, okay? Now, for one, we have partnerships in the works, in the pipeline, with a company that is going to give you guys the opportunity to get discounted tickets on your trips around the world. We also have another different partnership with a different company that is into transfers. And what is transfer? So you're traveling to the UK and you've never been there before, maybe to study, maybe to work. With this company that is in charge of transfers, what they do is they pick you up at the airport and take you to your destination. So whether in Canada, whether in the US, whether in Australia, whether in the Netherlands, in Germany, anywhere around the world, they can pick you up and drop you wherever you're going to be staying. And the final partnership we're working on is making sure you guys are able to get cheap hotel accommodations. And I'm talking about 5-star hotel accommodations when you're traveling, whether as a tourist, whether as a student, or whether you're traveling for work. You can stay in these hotels at least for a couple of days to some weeks till you get your foot in the country you are traveling to. So these are the partnerships that we're working on. They're not finalized yet, but we're talking about in the next couple of days to weeks, we should finalize this partnership, and I'm going to let you guys in on these companies so you can start to take advantage of their services, okay? So if you don't want to miss out on these sweet deals coming your way very soon, why don't you go down, smash the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, like our videos, and share them with your friends as well, okay? Now, in this video, I'm going to be telling you guys why Malta is the perfect destination for you to relocate to with your family if you are looking for a country in Europe to start all over. And when I mean start all over, I mean for work, okay? While Malta is the best destination for you to get a work visa and move there for work. For starters, Malta is the tiniest island in Europe. It's located in the southern part of Europe. It borders Italy, Greece, and the Mediterranean Sea. And it has a population of less than 1 million people and has a cross width of 312 square kilometers. So it's quite small, and the people there are quite few. First, obviously, you already know that there's going to be more opportunities. Plus, there are a lot of tax incentives for professionals who are working in select sectors in Malta. For example, people in the banking sector, people in the IT sector, there's a lot of tax incentives. You don't get taxed a lot like many other countries like the UK and maybe even Netherlands and stuff, okay? So Malta became a part of the European Union literally in 2004. It has not always been part of the European Union. Like I said earlier, it's a tiny island, okay? So it became a part of the European Union in 2004 and opened its borders to the rest of the world, or at least the remaining countries in the European Union in 2007. Since it's now part of the European Union, it's easy for you to gain access to Malta with a Schengen visa. So if you're a tourist and you're looking to just visit Malta, you can use a Schengen visa and gain access to this country. However, if you're looking to go there for work, you are going to need a work visa, and that is what this video is about. Okay, so I'm going to tell you all you need to get a work visa. If you are from a European Union member country or from the European Economic Area and Switzerland, you do not need to secure a work visa to go to Malta or to relocate or move to Malta. You just need a valid form of ID that can prove that you are a member or a citizen of a European Union member country, and that's it. You can relocate to Malta. However, if you are from a third world country or a third party country outside the European Union, you're going to need a work visa to access this particular country or to gain access or cross the border into Malta. Depending on your country and your area of expertise. So the documentation you're going to need to submit in order to get a work visa depends on your country and your area of expertise. So not all areas of expertise are required to submit the same type of documentation, one, and not all people from all types or all different countries across different continents are expected to submit the same type of documentations. Before I go into telling you guys the documentation that you're going to be required to submit before you can get your work visa to move to Malta, and even before I tell you about the types of visa that you could take advantage of as a professional looking to travel to Malta for work, first of all, let me just say this. Just like most countries around the world, I'm talking about Taiwan countries around the world, Malta is no different. So you're going to require an employment sponsorship from an employer in Malta. Now, it has to be an employer in Malta with a company that is domiciled in Malta. Okay, so it can be someone who is maybe just passing through Malta and looking to hire you. It has to be a company located in Malta. Now, they need to sponsor your visa. Now, the difference between Malta and most other countries in the European Union and even outside the European Union, like in America, Australia, and all that kind of stuff, is companies in Malta that are sponsoring your visa are required by law to help you apply for your work permit. Okay, so if a company says, oh, Mr. Few, we are hiring you to be maybe a human resource personnel or a public relations officer, they are mandated by law to help me secure my work permit. So you don't have to do this by yourself. The hard part is getting these companies. That's the toughest part. But as soon as you get a company, the company now is going to help you apply for your work permit. Now, what do you need? What documentation do you need to submit to this company, both to get a job and have them secure your work permit on your behalf? Have your sponsor or your Maltese employer apply for a work permit on your behalf. You're going to have to fill an online application form for a work permit with your sponsor. You're also going to have to submit a comprehensive CV of your work history, highlighting your work history, and submit it together with the work permit application form to your sponsor. If you are already in Malta and you don't have the work permit, you're going to have to photocopy your biodata visa page. Okay, you're going to have to photocopy your visa page of your active visa while in Malta and submit it to this company as well. Your employer is going to have to submit a cover letter on your behalf. You would be required to submit one passport photograph to your employer. You're going to have to submit references, recommendations of your qualification. Now, this has to be gotten from your home country. Okay, so references, recommendations, and testimonials have to be gotten from your home country. So say for example, you're from Nigeria, you have to get references, recommendations, and testimonials from previous companies that you have worked with and submit them to your Maltese employer. You would also be required to submit a medical health certificate that proves that you are in the peak of health and you are not ill. You have to submit this as well. Your Maltese employer, your employer from Malta, would have to submit a vacancy report. Now, a vacancy report is a legal document that shows that this company had tried to fill up these positions with locals or nationals from Malta, and they were unable to find suitable people to fill this position, and so they had to open this position up to the international community. So people from other countries had to now apply for this position. Now, the criteria for this particular documentation or this piece of document is to show that the recruitment process was very competitive and it was free and fair. So it was open to everybody. Locals couldn't fill it up and they had to open it to people from the international community. So these are all the documents that you're going to be mandated to submit to your employer in Malta for them to, on your behalf, go on to get an employment license, otherwise known as a work permit. Okay? Without a work permit, you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot work in Malta. And if you start working without a work permit, you could get deported. Even though your employer is the one that helps you process your work permit for you to start working for that drink company in Malta, there are literally two outfits that have been recognized by the government of Malta to process work permits for the employer who is employing you to come to Malta to work in their corporation. Now, for people who are working for 90 days or less, their work permit is processed by an outfit known as Identity Malta. For people who are working in Malta for periods longer than 90 days to whenever, those who are going to be required to get a single permit, I'm going to talk about that somewhere down the line. Now, your company or the employer who is sponsoring you to come into Malta to work is going to process this work permit with an outfit known as Job Plus. Now, these are the only two outfits that have been authorized and mandated to process work permits for foreign nationals looking to come into Malta for work. So you have to bear this in mind. So you don't need the company who is trying to process your work permit on your behalf to go process your work permit with Identity Malta. If that is done, then know that that employment is a short-term employment. So if it's a long-term employment, above 90 days, it has to be done with Job Plus. I'm going to tell you guys about the types of work visa that you need to travel to Malta. So we talked about the work permit. That is important. We've talked about that. So you guys already know the documentation you need to submit, and you also know who processes what and how this is done. Okay. Now let's talk about the types of visa that you need. Now there are basically two types of visas. Two. The first one is the C visa. The C visa or the short stay visa. Now the C visa or short stay visa is for people who are looking to travel to Malta to work for a period of 90 days or less. Now there are different categories of the C visa. So there's the single entry category, there's the double entry category, and there's the multiple entry category. So single entry categories are for people who are just going to enter Malta just once. So when they enter that one time, they're not going to go out of the country till their contract or the term or period of time in which you'll be working for has expired, and then they leave the country. Now there's a double entry category for people who could come into Malta, travel, then come back again, just double. And there's that multiple entry category where you could literally, for the period of 90 days, you could come and go as you please while working in Malta. And then there's the next one, which is known as the D visa, or the long stay visa to Malta. Now this is for people who are going to be working in Malta and plan to do this for periods higher than 90 days. Even though people who are on a C visa, which is the short stay visa, and D visa, which is the long stay visa, are both required to get a work permit. The work permit there's more emphasis on a work permit for people on a long stay. So you're required not just to get a work permit, but you also need to get a residency permit as well. So a work permit plus a resident permit is known as a single permit. Okay, so for people who are going to be working in Malta or moving to Malta to work for a long period of time, you're going to have to go under the visa category known as the D visa or long stay visa, and you have to apply for a single permit, which is your work permit and your residency permit. So you need to bear this in mind. So I take it that most of you guys are not just looking to relocate to these countries by yourself. Now, I'm not blind or ignorant to the fact that there could be single people out there looking to relocate, but I also know that there are people with families. Okay, like for example, I have children, I have a wife. If I wanted to move to a different country or move from the country I'm in to another country, obviously I'm not just going to go by myself, I'm going to go with my family. So I'm going to be telling you what you need the documentation you need to move to Malta as a single person by yourself, and if you have children, what your children are going to need, the documentation that they're going to need to relocate as well. For starters, this goes without saying, it's a no-brainer that you have to fill a visa application. Okay, so you have to comprehensively fill a visa application. Obviously, if you don't fill a visa application, they're not even going to be able to know what you're traveling for. So you have to fill a comprehensive visa application. And number two, you have to have a valid passport which has at least 2 blank pages. And your passport needs to be valid for a period of at least 3 months before you apply for your work visa to Malta, and your passport needs to have been issued to you at least for a period of 10 years before you apply for the visa. So if your passport was issued 20 years before, it's invalidated. It's not going to be accepted. Okay, and I don't think this is possible. I know for a fact that Nigeria, they issue passports every 5 years. So your passport is valid for 5 years, after which you need to renew it. And I think is there 10 years? I can't remember if it's 10 years, but I know 5 years for a fact. Most countries it's 5-year periods. Okay, so as long as you fall within this range, I think you're good. So not all people traveling to Malta are required to show a passport. As long as you have a valid and authorized travel document, I think you're going to be okay. You're going to need to submit a cover letter that shows your work history, your area of expertise, and your profession. Okay, your work cover letter has to convey these three information, and you have to submit it together with the other documents if you're applying for a visa, a work visa to move to Malta. You also need to submit 2 professionally taken passport photographs to be considered for a visa, at least a work visa to Malta. Now, you need a health insurance cover that covers you against emergencies that might pop up. And your health insurance cover must cover you to the tune of at least 30,000 euros. Now that's 30,000 euros. Now your health insurance cover, I repeat, must cover you to the tune of 30,000 euros. Now it does not mean that you have to pay 30,000 euros for the health insurance cover. It could be as cheap as maybe even 10 euros or even 5 euros, but the premium must have the ability to cover you for potential expenses that could see you get treatments to the tune of 30,000 euros. You need to show that you've made your hotel reservation or you have a place that you're going to stay. Now, if your accommodation is going to be covered by your employer, it must be categorically stated on the document that you receive from your employer, the letter saying, listen, this person has been accepted by our company. I'm talking about your employment letter or your job offer letter that says this person has been employed by our company. He's moving from the Philippines to Malta. He's moving from Nigeria to Malta, from Ghana, from Zimbabwe, Egypt, Morocco to Malta, and we are going to provide the accommodation for this person. It needs to be categorically stated on this document, and you need to submit it. Listen, I know it is a lot, but these are the requirements put forward by the Immigration Malta for people who are coming in to take up jobs in their country. Now, you need to show an evidence of financial independence. That's a mouthful, independence. Oh, I'm sorry. You need to show an evidence of financial independence that proves that you can be able to spend at least 48 euros per day. Okay, now unlike most countries like the UK that tells you you need to have XYZ amount of money in an account, you just need to be able to prove that you can spend at least 48 euros per day for the duration of stay that you're going to be in Malta. So if the company is employing you, they're going to state it there in their employment letter, which is the next requirement that you need to submit. You need to submit an employment letter from a company or a sponsor who is hiring you to relocate or to come to Malta, saying, listen, we're hiring you for this post and you're going to be working with such and such team for this period of time. Now, for that period of time that you're going to be working for this company, you need to show a financial proof, evidence that you can be able to pay at least or spend at least 48 euros per day. You need to show an evidence of civil standing. You need to show an evidence of civil standing. Now, what does this mean? What is an evidence of civil standing? If you were married, you need to show a documentation, maybe a court document that shows you got married in a court, or a church certificate that shows you got married and there was a witness and someone signed a document and said you're legally married to this person. Or if you have children and you're traveling with them, you need to submit this with your documents saying, listen, I have XYZ amount of kids, these are their birth certificates, and their father and their mother, or this We are partners and these are our children. And if it's in a situation where there was a loss of spouse, maybe you lost your husband or you lost your wife or you were married before, you need to show a document that shows that you lost your spouse. Now this is an evidence for civil standing. So these are just documents that a professional needs to submit to be able to be in a reckoning or to be considered for a Maltese work visa. A quick disclaimer before I jump into the requirement, documentary requirement for children and partners. Whatever country you're from, whether you're from Cyprus, you're from the Philippines, whatever country you're from, before you start to process your visa, I recommend that you go to the High Commission of Malta or the Embassy of Malta in your country and find out the requirements, okay, the documents that you need to submit. For some countries, there might be waivers for some documents, and for some other countries, those documents might be mandatory. So you need to find out whether these documents are being waived in your country and the ones that are mandatory. So I recommend you visit the consular session for Malta in your country, okay, and find out where these documents are located. And these documents are hand-filled. You're not going to find a soft copy online anywhere. So you have to visit the High Commission or the Embassy, whichever it is in your country, for Malta, and you're going to have to get a hard copy, okay? You're going to have to get a hard copy of the application form to start to fill your way. For your kids and partners, first document that they will need to submit for their own visa is a birth certificate. So if you have multiple kids, they each have to submit individual birth certificates. They will need to submit a Maltese visa application form, a comprehensively filled visa application form, which has to bear your employment license number, okay? So they have to fill, I repeat, a Maltese visa application form, and it has to have your employment license number, because it's because of you that the application is being recognized. So it has to have that employment license number on their individual visa application forms, depending on the amount of children you have and you're looking to travel with. You need to submit a legal document from a court that shows and proves that you have the right to travel with this child or children. And if it's in a case of divorce and you're looking to relocate with your children, whether you're a man or a woman, you need to show documentation that you want full custody of the children or child. So you can't just up and say, listen, I've gotten work in Malta, I want to relocate with this child or these children, and let's just go. You need to show evidence, and it has to be legal from a court that shows that you are in the right standing, recognized as the father, mother, or parents to these children, and you're relocating with them. And if you're divorced, you need to show that you want full custody before you can submit or move to Malta with these children. Now that document is mandatory. You need to submit that legal document. Your children and your partner need to have a valid passport or some form of travel documentation that is recognized or accepted by people, by the Maltese Immigration Services, by people or from people who are from your country. And like I said, for professionals or individuals traveling alone, this has to be a document that is valid for 3 months, must have been delivered or issued within a 10-year period, and must have at least 2 blank pages where the visa can be stamped. You need to submit copies of or photocopies of the biodata page of each parent who is traveling with the children, okay? So the mother, father need to make photocopies of the biodata page and other acceptable forms of ID. So if you're traveling with 4 children, the mother, father will have to photocopy the biodata page for 1, for 2, for 3, for 4. And they also need to photocopy a valid ID for 1, for 2, for 3, and for 4. So this is mandatory. You need to show evidence or proof of funds that shows that you are financially capable to look after these children while they are in Malta. You need to also submit proof in form of medical certification that shows that these kids are in the peak of health and they are very healthy. And finally, you need to submit an evidence of proper vaccination that shows these children have been properly and completely vaccinated against different diseases like smallpox, like malaria, like COVID, and yellow fever, and all these other types of diseases. You need to submit this document. So these are the documents that you need to submit for a partner and children that you're going to be moving to Malta with. Now, how do you apply for this visa? Now, I talked about the types of visa, I talked about the documents that you need. How do you apply for this visa? Now, for starters, if you're interested in moving to Malta, now I want you guys to watch this video to the very end. Don't watch it halfway and think you've gotten all the information. Every segment of this episode has something valuable, something vital that you need to know if you are indeed interested in moving to Malta. So I really recommend that you watch this video to the very end, not just for the views, but just so that you're going to be properly informed and know the documentation, and in every step of the way, you know the timeline that you have to wait for the company to process this, you know when to get to this stage and to apply documentation and all that kind of stuff. So I recommend you watch it to the very end. Now, how do you apply for this visa? If you're interested in moving to Malta for work, like I said, you need to apply for open positions advertised for international applicants by companies in Malta. When you apply for these positions, the company is going to, on your behalf, like I said earlier, apply for a work permit, otherwise known as an employment license. They'll have to apply on your behalf, or you have to submit certain documentation to this company to go ahead to either apply with Identity Malta or Job Plus on your behalf. Now, whether they use Job Plus or Identity Malta is going to take 60 days. 60 days for your work permit or employment license to be ready. When your job permit or employment license is ready, you're going to get an invitation letter from either Job Plus or Identity Malta. You're going to get this within a 60-day period. Within a 60-day period, this is going to be sent to you. When you get this document, then you're going to have to proceed to the next step, which is applying for your work visa. Don't forget, I said this earlier, you have to apply by going to the High Commission for Malta or Embassy of Malta in your country and fill a paper-based application for visa. There is no online application, so you have to do it in the consular section of the High Commission or Embassy for Malta, whichever it is located in your country. While applying or after applying for a work visa to Malta from your country of origin, the Embassy or High Commission of Malta in your country can issue you an interim receipt card. They can issue you an interim receipt card that gives you permission to move to Malta. This is possible. It's not in all situations. It depending on the unique situation that you're going under and the type of visa, work visa you're going under, whether it's a C visa or a D visa, you could be issued an interim receipt card that gives you permission to move to Malta to finalize the term of your single permit, okay? Now remember I said a single permit is a work permit and a resident permit. So you could be given an interim receipt card to go to finalize the processing of your single permits by your company. Maybe some documentation, or you need to sign off on something in person. You could be given an interim receipt card. Like I said, it's not for everybody. It just depends on the uniqueness of the situation and the category of work visa that you might be applying for. Those who are issued interim receipt cards and are looking to process this single permit by themselves, because it's possible for you to do it by yourself. If you're given an interim receipt card, you're going to be required to pay an application fee of 280.50 euros. Now, so you guys will be asking, Fuse, okay, that's enough talk. You've been talking too much, Fuse, stop. You've been talking. How long does it take to get a Malta work visa? How long? Now, it usually, first of all, your visa processing starts as soon as all documentation, all mandatory required documentation is submitted with a visa application form. When you submit it, that's when the processing of your visa begins. Now, it takes 5 to 15 days for you to be delivered a decision of either granted or denied. So like I said, 5 to 15 days, and you're going to know whether you're going to be moving to Malta with your family or not. You will get a notification via text, or you're going to get an email that tells you, listen, a decision has been reached. You can come pick up your passport and your documents that you submitted earlier. Even though you get granted a visa, a work visa to come to Malta, the final permission or the final authorization is going to be given at the port of entry. So when you get to the airport, the immigration desk has the final say. So that officer, that immigration officer at the immigration desk is the one that is going to either make or break the process. They're going to be the one that's going to ask you questions. They'll ask you questions like purpose of visit, what are you here for? Are you traveling alone? Are you working? What is your profession? Are you sure this company got the right person? How are you the right person to fill? Funny questions like this are going to be asked of you. So you need to calm down, relax, and try to answer as simply as possible. Don't complicate the answer, guys. This is not the time that you prove that you're the world's best and you're a surgeon. Just keep it simple and answer to the best of your ability, and you should scale through this stage as easily as possible. Now, guys, I forgot two things. The two things I forgot about people who, or two vital informations I forgot to pass across for people, professionals who are interested in moving to Malta for work. One is people who are coming to Malta for work from the UK. You guys already know that since Brexit, the UK is no longer seen as part of the European Union. So what does this mean for people who are thinking about coming to Malta for work from the UK? Now, this means simply that they are going to be required to follow the protocol and procedures as people who are from other parts of the world. So people coming from Africa, people coming from America to Malta, they are classed as the same as people coming from the UK. So they don't get the same benefits as people coming from Turkey or people coming from Germany. Those are European Union member countries, and the criteria are a little bit relaxed for those countries. So if you're coming to Malta from the UK, then you have to follow the requirements and protocols and documentation I talked about earlier. Another thing is, if you are interested in applying for permanent residency in Malta, now there are two types of residencies in Malta. There's the ordinary residency and there's the permanent residency. Now the ordinary residency is for people who are applying to get unlimited, unrestricted access to Malta. Now the downside to ordinary residency is people who get ordinary residency are taxed at a level between 0 to 35%. That is 0 to 35%. Now 35%, I don't know about you guys, but that's rather steep. Now, people who are international applicants for positions in Malta, who are coming from the Philippines, who are coming from Egypt, Morocco, Nigeria, Ghana, they are advised or recommended to go with the other one, the permanent residency, if they want to get unrestricted access to Malta. Now, the beautiful thing about the permanent residency as opposed to the ordinary residency is the taxation is lower, plus you get all the attributes and all the benefits of people who are from Malta. However, the downside to it is you have to renew your residency every year. So these are the two things I failed to talk about when I was talking about the other requirements. If you want to know more about the Maltese work visa or the work visa for professionals looking to move or relocate to Malta, I would suggest you go to the Chronicles website. You guys already know that before we even drop videos on YouTube here, we always come out with a comprehensive article on our website. So I suggest you even visit our website as periodically as possible to find out what is new out there. So I'm just going to show you, I'm going to take you to the website right now. So this is the article here, Guide to Moving to Malta for Global Professionals is right there. Everything, and let me just close this ad really quickly. So this is the article here, okay? So everything you need to know about moving to Malta, everything. So where is Malta located? Why are global professionals moving to Malta? People required to get a visa while moving to Malta. Everything, entry document required for professionals moving to Malta, their children, which is here, and everything you need to know, different categories, just what I talked about. And I'm just going to show you something I did not talk about, okay? So you guys can come here and read up on it. Malta employment law, I didn't talk about that. I can, but I chose not to. Permanent residency for professionals moving to Malta, the process, the types. And I even talk about the global residency program for Malta. How to apply for the global residency program is all here. Taxation laws for permanent residents. Cost of applying for Malta residency. I didn't talk about this stuff. They're all here, okay? So you guys can visit the Fuse Chronicles website and get informed on what you need to apply for a work visa to Malta. So guys, if this video was too fast for you somehow, if I spoke too fast and you didn't catch what I was saying, I recommend that you go down to the settings tab and click the gear icon there where you can modulate the speed, lowering it to the level that suits your understanding. But if still you don't get what I was saying, why don't you go to the comment section down below and leave your inquiries down there, and I'll be overjoyed to answer any question or inquiry I meet down there. And if it's too open for you, if the comment section is too public, then why don't you slide into our socials? We're active on 3 social media platforms, which are TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And my handles on all 3 platforms is up there. It's very simple, at Fuse Chronicles. So slide into any one of these social media platforms and leave your inquiries there, and I'll be sure to answer all of them, okay? Now guys, let me just say this very, very quickly, all right? All the services that we offer, I give to you in these videos, or you can find on our website. I don't hold anything back because I want to charge money. I give it all out. However, if you want us to apply on your behalf and fill these application forms, we charge a flat nominal fee of $1,500, okay? This is the flat nominal fee that we charge to apply for visa for you, to find companies that are going to be a perfect match for your profession, for you to relocate to that country. This is it, okay? Now, I don't want people sliding to my DMs on Instagram or sending me emails and telling me, can you prove that you're not going to run away? We have a lot of partnership on the way and a lot of infrastructure already in place. And honestly speaking, guys, I don't really need your money. I try my best to stay away from collecting money from people. That's why we offer these services for free, and we give you this information on YouTube here, on our socials, and on our website. However, if you feel it's still too hard for you, then we charge the fee. So a lot of people send me messages and they want me to prove myself. Can you prove yourself that you're not going to run away with the money? We have too many things going to run away with your money, okay? Keep your money if you don't want us to do it for you, because you can do it by yourself using the resources that were provided for you already. So I just had to put this in there. And if this information I shared in this video about how to secure your work visa to Malta was very impactful and valuable to you guys, why don't you think about subscribing to the channel? Why don't you think about turning on the notification bell as well, and sharing this video with your friends? And while you're at it, click on the icon that shows the thumbs up so you can like the video. Helps us with the YouTube algorithm, shows Mr. YouTube that you found this video valuable, and they're going to find more people just like you all around the world to show these videos to. And we have a lot of partnership, like I said earlier, in the pipelines and on the works, and you guys don't want to miss the benefits that's going to come with being subscribed to this channel. So I recommend you subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell as well. In our next episode, I'm going to be coming out with more companies in Malta that are looking to hire people to relocate to this island for work. Okay? And if you want to know more, about companies that are hiring in other parts of Europe, for example, the Netherlands, a video is going to pop up to my right. Why don't you click on that video and get to know where vacancies exist in the Netherlands. And until the next one, I remain your value-based king, Fuse. Have a nice weekend. Merry Christmas to you guys. Bye-bye.